Well, you're making me cry, man. What the hell, bro?
That's Muhammad Malik, founder of Tijara Ventures.
Tijara Ventures allows me to do a lot of random stuff, right? The red thread, I guess, is venture. Building ventures, scaling ventures, also investing into ventures. And to be honest, man, I was a solo founder before and I went through mad stress.
In the past, he founded several startups before running accelerators for the likes of NatWest. As two people helping the next generation of founders, me and him had a good riff.
Pareto rule applied is 20% idea, 80% execution. But bro, I think I beg to differ. I think now it's like ideas are really important because the execution is so easy now. And the typical thing that we're seeing is as soon as something AI related is launched, then there's a open source version, there's a cheaper version, there's a quicker version. Dumb money can come to you, but that might weigh you down.
This is a wide-ranging conversation, including finding PMF, building a moat in the world of AI, expanding to emerging markets, really what is a founder mindset, and so much more. You can also find out what made him say this.
But you gave me so much goosebumps, I was like crying, man.
So good to have you here today. And as we were just chatting about, you've done so many different things. And for all this as well, like I know Mohammed pretty well, so we're gonna have a bit more of a laugh today. But you've done so many things, it's quite hard to actually keep up with what you do. So you now have a holding company, right?
Yeah.
And that's quite rare for people in this space. So can you explain what a holding company even is and what you do under that?
You're being a lot nicer on camera, yeah, but I think, it's a bit of a madness. So essentially, Tijara Ventures allows me to do a lot of random stuff, right? The red thread, I guess, is venture. Building ventures, scaling ventures, and also investing into ventures. And to be honest, man, I was a solo founder before and I went through mad stress. So Tijara Ventures is my vehicle to partner, man. And I'm looking at you to partner with you as well, man, on a few things. But it allows me to leverage essentially, partnerships, the network, and we're able to support founders. And that's where I feel my ikigai really is to help others get to where we spoke about prior to recording, to a growth phase and hopefully, build the most impactful startups that will benefit society for the better.
And you literally just launched a venture studio, right?
Yes, man. Yeah. So we've got a motley crew together. Myself, maybe more so on the, mentoring, coaching, venture side. We've got somebody who's a UX, UI designer. We've got somebody who's really good with the tech kind of side. And we've got somebody who's there really good with products. So we've come together and I guess maybe investment as well for me. And we're supporting founders, particularly those that are looking to, focus on emerging markets. And for us, that means Middle East, particularly Qatar, and Saudi, but then also those who, we call it underpriced. I love the phrase underpriced. I think I learned this from Black Seed Ventures as well, right? Black Soil, sorry. The idea, is it Black Soil? Remind me, who are we talking about?
I know Black Seed, I know the Black Soil. Black Soil is something I mean?
Good Soil Ventures.
Okay.
And flopped already. But yeah, going back to this, so essentially, I love this phrasing. Instead of saying overlooked, underserved, where you're almost asking for pity, what we're saying is we're unlocking alpha for you by showing you the best founders who are underpriced. That's how we look at it. Yeah, man.
And you mentioned as well, you were a solo founder before, you've done different things in the past. And obviously from your background as well, right? So you've come into this, as an outsider, you've had a few founding journeys. Tell us how you got to having this holding company, right? Because it's not something you can just start out doing. It's because you've accumulated so much experience, right?
Yeah, no, it's just random bits of experience. It was very serendipitous journey. Started off as a good brown boy, good putter. As a lot of brown guys would understand. You're either a doctor, engineer, lawyer, and I went for accountant, and that's how you say it, right? So I'm doing my mum proud. Did accounting and finance, and then went into Deloitte, right? Delighted to meet you if anybody of my Deloitte alum are here, right? So dad jokes galore. But going back to it, I think for me, the thought process, even when deciding what to do, was as I might sound soft when I'm saying this, but it's how do I help people, right? Quite simply, how do I help people? For me, okay, becoming a doctor, I looked at that and I was like, okay, finance is interesting. I met finance leaders in, partners and other people at the Big Four that are able to do a lot of charity work, go back home, and they're from Africa, Asia, they're able to support their community. But I thought, what's a one degree even more than that? And then came across people building their own ventures, and they're able to, shout out to people like Shaz from Muz, for example. We've got our own, people that have been on this podcast that are doing incredible work, right? They don't necessarily, their main focus might be scaling their startup, but through that, they're able to do a lot outside of that as well. So that's kind of what led me through to this idea of building your own venture and having your own impact and scaling that impact.
So what did you do as a founder?
Yeah, as a founder, so my first startup, I don't know if I've spoken to anybody about it, man, but my first startup was a watch brand, right? So back when, influencer, marketing was popping off, the Kim K effect, right? I managed to somehow get an ambassador on board who was Drake's girlfriend, right? You know what? Don't go Google it because she's now no longer, she's no longer safe for work, right? She's if you want to Google that, no paperwork. But she at the time had close to 1 million followers. At this time, by the way, Amar, man, you're gonna, it's gonna sound really painful to hear, but I hadn't read any of these books. I hadn't come across somebody like you who would have taught me how to go about it. I spent a lot of money on, developing this watch, not knowing anything to do with lean startup, not knowing to do anything to do with kind of, pre-sales or anything like that. I went straight in. I thought I've got this, censored name, ambassador, and I've got a few others as well that were popping off at that time. ByteDance prior to TikTok, right? So we had a few Latina influencers. We had people. I had the whole world covered, right? I thought in my mind, but little did I know that I hadn't done big up the mom test. I hadn't done any customer discovery. I hadn't spoken to my customer segment. I hadn't understand their appetite for this particular brand. Nor did I have any insight to the demand or pricing, anything, right? I just went straight in, and that was the journey that began, okay, I need to research this crap. And just to parallel this, it was similar to my journey in public speaking. I thought I was a sick public speaker, man. All my schoolmates would be like, oh, you're a sick speaker, you're funny as well. But then the real test of that for me was moving away from my trusted circle. I went down stand-up. I did stand-up 2-3 times. At first, I was an absolute flop, man. I sat there, I was thinking, bro, I'm really whack at this. But then I went and studied the craft. 6 months, there was this wonderful comic guru, and you can Google this person. His name is Logan Murray. He teaches stand-up. So I learned the art. And look, I actually did, not to big up myself, but I did really well in my first gig. Standing ovation. But I realized how difficult that was. I'm not gonna dedicate my time to that. So similarly, startup, I had to go and learn how to go about it, and then that became a bit of an obsession. I now teach entrepreneurship and innovation to younger people. Hopefully, they don't go through the same mistakes that I have. And now we're also helping build ventures as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about like that journey, right, is that because even for example, we teach it as well, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not teaching the way I did it. Because I'm trying to get you to not have the pain I had, right? And I guess you have the similar experience of that. It's be smarter than us. That's what we're trying to put forward into the world, right? Is that you can say like, oh, but you did it that way, but you did that. I was like, yeah, but it sucked. It's hard. It's like, don't do it our way. Do it the way that we're trying to help you. Right?
We speak about our own journeys, man. I'm still trying to lose that way, but you managed to lose all that way. Following the difficulty of the path. But to be honest with you, I would go a step further, but bro, in the last 9 months, like I'm just seeing this right now, the news from Lovable and all these startups, incredible. The game has shifted so much that today, when I was in class earlier at Imperial, I said to I call them my kids, but they are, near adult, and they're adults, right? I was like, listen, man, before we used to say 80-20 rule applies to business in this way. My first mentor with a thick New York accent said to me, Mohammed, I can't do the New York accent. You just came out from New York, so maybe you can. He goes to me, man, ideas are 10 a penny, execution is key. Pareto rule applied is 20% idea, 80% execution. But bro, I think I beg to differ. I think now it's like ideas are really important because the execution is so easy now. It's like, I can get an MVP. How long was it? 5 minutes or something with Lovable or Cursor, Replit. Now there's a new agentic AI YC spoke about 2 days ago, which is almost N8N, like automated. So it's like N8N that you can just prompt and create your own agent. So what I'm saying now is something what I didn't do is now I'm focusing on the idea. I'm getting people to think about systems thinking. I delivered a workshop on first principles thinking, which is how do you, the idea of boiling down to the fundamentals and then building back up. Takes a lot of mental energy, but I think that's where people are going to really, really thrive is those really innovative ideas, game-changing ideas, sector-shaping ideas. But of course, look, when it comes to vertical AI, for example, YC, according to them, they say that this is going to outstrip B2B SaaS by about 3.2x, right? But then there's this idea of Johari's window, this idea that unknown unknowns, right? And that's what we talk about in our mentoring a lot. Is basically you can create something that doesn't exist, but you need to put in the mental energy to do so. And that's where I think now the founders that we spoke about are going to be. The 1%ers, the 10%ers, that's where they are going to be compared to everyone else. Yeah.
So I feel this is a really interesting topic to get onto as well, because it's some kind of debate a lot in my head about there's two elements of the AI, right? So there's lots of elements, but two conflicting ones. One is that it's a lot easier to start than it's ever been.
Yeah.
The secondary aspect, it's a lot easier to duplicate than it's ever been. So cool, you've got a good idea. Somebody else, before it could take them a year to copy your idea.
Yeah.
Now, they can copy it easily if they've got better access to resources, better access to funding, bigger brand, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you look at the Lovable story, for example, is that when you look at it, it's like Lovable as a product isn't necessarily better than Cursor, than the other ones, but they had a better branding in the way they did that. So even though there's other people who had a first mover advantage, that Lovable came in, they did the branding really well, they got the highlights that they did. So the challenge now is like, let's say you come up with this out of the box idea, right? You come up with something which you're seeing the future.
Yeah.
Even if you've got this amazing idea, somebody else who's richer than you, who's got more money than you, who has venture capital funding they don't know what to do with,
they're going to win. Yeah.
How do you defend it? And it's that battle, right? Like, okay, yeah, it's easier to get started than ever, but then it's harder to defend than ever as well.
Oh, 100%, man. I love how you frame that. Somebody mentioned this as a phrase. He said, don't let your launch become somebody else's lunch. And what was that? The typical thing that we're seeing is as soon as something AI related is launched, then there's a open source version, there's a cheaper version, there's a quicker version, there's a Chinese version. Right? Not to throw shade on China. China's and just a side point, right? People used to say this old adage, it's like America innovates, China replicates, Europe, particularly London, regulates. What we're seeing now is this idea that China is innovating, man. The DeepSeek moment really changed things, right? But going back to what you said, how do you defend yourself in this ever, shifting landscape, right? The winds have changed. You're just here. It's crazy. For a lot of people, they're just wanting the dust to settle until there's a clear winner. But anyway, I'm not really good with my foresight as much. But I think the futurists that I do look up to, they say, look, right now is actually the gold mine time. Right now to develop, if you do have that unique insight. And that's where I think when I'm obviously given what I do, I think I'm bullish on this idea of person to person interaction. I say there's no amount of data scraping, no amount of Reddit, forum scraping will get you the insights you can get and glean from a one-to-one conversation, right? And that's where I'm bullish at. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's somebody out there that believes that, but I really believe in this, man. The fact that this idea of emotional delta as well. Just that you describe Lovable compared to Cursor. Look, I think bar for bar, like or pound for pound, like Replit's like sick, man. It's really, really good. Cursor's banging that. But Lovable, just the brand, the ease, and how, like, just today I saw the post just before I spoke to you. It said, man, we've got a 14-page guide. It's not a bloody 100-page guide, Cursor, this and that. And it's so easy to get started. They're the ones who are doing events. They're the ones who I met Nad at an event, Nad Chishti, who head designer. And he brought his baby along, man, and he's just chilling with us. That for me is Lovable, because they're person to person. Whereas these other guys, they don't really, in my opinion, and maybe yours as well, they don't really invest into community like Lovable do. So that's where the differentiator is. It's the as soft as it sounds, it is about the personal differentiator and connecting with the people. Yeah.
So the going off piece here as well, right? So one thing that I'm seeing from a lot of people is about how community is a differentiator, right?
Yeah.
The thing I find is, as somebody who's building a community, is that what you're now seeing is startups who are doing community because that's the new thing and the new fad, and it's less authentic. And it's that challenge of like, okay, cool, you want to build in a community, but we all know you're only doing that because of this reason, right? And it's that personality trait. So how do you get the right people into a company where it does work authentic? Like you said, like Nad, where he brought his kid along and he could just feel like he was chilling with you, right?
We're playing with his kid, man. They're just chilling. He's like, look, take a picture of my kid and chill. I was like, man, that feels authentic at least. Yeah.
And that's the hard thing, right? Because if you're saying like, okay, I'm going to build this company, I'm going to like out-compete everybody because I'm going to build the best community. But if you're going into it with that mindset of like, I'm going to build this community because to help my product right at the start, you've got to have some kind of natural affinity,
100%.
and that personality, right? Like, are you personable? Because I know so many people who build in communities, and like, you don't have the chat. Like, it's like, how are you you're saying, oh, you want to build this massive community, but you're not very friendly.
Not very friendly. And it reminds me of two things. There's a guy on Twitter, on X, right? He says about flipping the model completely. It's like, instead of going product first and then, getting out there, just start with the community, start nurturing the community. And then there will, for those into marketing, these idea of the 1,000 crazy fans. They're going to be the ones who unlock viral coefficient for you, because they're going to be telling one or two people, those are going to turn into your fans. And then suddenly you're a big deal, right? But you touched on something there, which is maybe it's another conversation, but it's the whole thing that we actually were about to touch on prior to recording, which is the idea of archetypes and personalities, right? And you spoke about this in the context of a struggling founder, that in this day and age, we know maybe you're limited in terms of your archetype, your belief, your hours and whatnot. But that doesn't mean you can't bring somebody on that is good with community, does have the time to chill, does have the time to network. And I think there is the idea of personality. And I think Data Driven VC, they spoke about this. I was pleased to meet them, and they spoke about this idea. They do quite a bit of looking into the founder, what are the ethereal building blocks of a founder. And everybody talks, from Harry Stebbings to Local Globe, everybody's talking about, which is the founder of Nikolai, the founder of Revolut, right? And they always talk about his intensity and stuff. When we spoke about this offline, right? But yeah, boiling down to it, in this essence, coming back to community, not everybody's a good community builder. So there's this idea of a fractional community lead, and I think that is a powerful way to get started. I think there.
If anybody wants to spend loads of money on me as a fractional community, hit me up. That's cool. But it is this idea now where we're seeing a lot of people who want to, it's in the last year or so, everybody's now trying to start a community. And I look at it as all about consistency. Is that if you do one event or you do two events, it's like, actually, it's really hard on making any money. The snowball effect, right? It's like, we are where we are today because we've been going for a while. And those first events, people don't realize we didn't always fill up the room. There's been events I've been to where it's like, oh crap, this is kind of a bit dead.
Wow.
But we carried on going anyway. And I think that's the hard thing, is that with AI, it's like, okay, yes, it's easier to build maybe the tech than it was before. Even then, in reality, it's easier to build the MVP. It's not easy to build the actual product necessarily. We still need somebody who actually knows their stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to have something full of bugs. And that's the challenge. Like, you get the MVP is to get, in a way, to get the funding to be able to hire somebody who actually knows what's going on.
Yes, exactly.
If you don't, if you're not a CTO yourself, if you haven't got that beginning, and it's that whole nature of, okay, cool, it's quick to get started. But at the same time, you don't have a billion lovables, right?
Yeah.
It's still really hard.
It's still hard, man. I think, you know what, without blowing your trumpet for you, right, is the idea that you're a living example of somebody who's started off and continued persistently, man, tenacity. Look, the majority of podcasters, they don't go past what's the 18th episode according to studies, or what so according to a survey. And the idea that, look, things are going to get better. Right? Mr. Beast and his playbook. It's a wonderful playbook, man. I don't know why people don't read his stuff, man, just because he's, all over the place. Because his playbook, he talks about this idea of actually not his playbook, but he talks about it generally, is the fact that it's just dead in the beginning, bro. It is dead. But then suddenly something kicks off, and then you've got this exponential rise. And to your point, it is so difficult being the one who's running the event. There's nobody there. And then you're like, but you have this thing in your mind that this is only going to get better. And you just keep going in this. So I actually want to ask you the question, man. what's in your mind? Like, back then, what was in your mind? So I know this is a common thread through karate, bro, Bhangra, like everything that you're doing, community building, startups, investment. What goes through your mind in the difficult, when you're in the trenches, man? What is in your mind?
I think it's the obsessive nature of figuring stuff out. Yeah. And it's a bit of, the whole thing, enjoy the journey, not the destination, all that crap. But it is the way I look at things of I'm the nerdy guy who, like you said about when you're figuring out stand-up comedy, right? Yeah. Is that you only do that if you actually liked the process of figuring out, right? I like the process of figuring stuff out. I like that new challenge. So say, for example, the podcast, I get bored as hell when it's following a script. Once I kind of worked out, okay, this is how I can make it flow. I can make people feel comfortable. And even, but you're coming on this now where the podcast has been renamed. That I made a bunch of changes. I need to keep making it hard for myself.
That is sick.
And even
but we're supposed right now, you're talking about this.
For example, like at the beginning, I used to prepare for the podcast. I'm prepared for the podcast the past 20 episodes. You can literally, I literally asked you before you came on, what the hell do you actually do? I'm so confused by your life. Like, what is this? And the confidence that comes with the reps, right? It's because I know that I've done so many reps, I can figure stuff out on the spot. Okay. And that makes it challenging for me. Yeah. If I spent the whole last week researching you, cool, I'll be able to just walk into this and do it, but it would be so formulaic, same old, right? Whereas now we can go off piece, we can go into different directions, and I'm comfortable doing that. Whereas I always think of when I go to community events, when the person hosting the event is looking at a script or looking at their phone or their notes, I'm like, how the hell can you not remember? You only talk to people for like half an hour, but like just do it. And to me, it's always something which, from my background and the way I think about it, I'm like, go with the flow, like figure it out. Yeah. And it's also, I say go with the flow bits, you've got to work yourself into that position, right? All these events where it wasn't full up, all these podcasts that nobody listened to, all that stuff, it's reps, it's me getting better. And when you think about it in that way, right? Whatever you're trying to build, how long are you willing to suck to get good at it?
Jeez.
Say Bhangra, right? Look at me dancing at the beginning. I'm crap, right? I'm terrible. But you can never get good unless you're willing to suck.
But you gave me goosebumps all over my arms, but honestly, like real talk, because one of the most paradigm shifting realizations for me was from Tom Bilyeu. He is the founder of the impact theory. Yeah. And he earned his stripes through a nutrition brand, which is nothing to do with tech, but now he teaches AI implementation. That's what he's gone hard on. But I remember like sitting, I was in my balcony when I heard this, and I was like, bro, I have to sit in my balcony for a while. But to encapsulate what I'm hearing from you, right? And look, we have to celebrate people like you, because through that, others would be like, okay, I can do it too, right? These are the whack days only going to get better, right? And that's hopefully the audience resonates with this. Is I'm going to shift my self-esteem, bun all the accolades, bun everything that our brown families celebrate, bun all of that, and I'm going to put my self-esteem on the fact that I'm the best learner in the room. I don't give a damn if I'm looking like an absolute waste man or a waste girl. I'm going to go and do this, and the tenacity, and then one day you're going to be celebrating with me, right? And that takes a certain level of self-belief, bro. So I want to, it feels like I'm flipping the script slightly, but how would you say your self-esteem is built on? Is it that learner thing, or is it the fact that I've done the reps in something else and that's translating into this?
So one idea I use for this, right, in my head, I don't know if it comes out well. So if it makes no sense, just like call me out and take the business, fine. So it's two types of confidence, right? Egg confidence and avocado confidence. Egg is what I'd say a lot of people use stunting on social media, right? It's hard out of shell, you look confident, but as soon as you get a bit of pressure pulled to you, you crumble and there's nothing inside, right? And it's just gooey. With avocado confidence, okay, it's a bit rough from the outside maybe, but you squeeze into the center, that core is really strong. And you can crush it, but then you can plant and it grows again, right?
Wow.
You crush an egg, you can't, like, that's it, it's done. And how I look at that is how do you build that core? And you said, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said about the stuff I've done in the past, right? Is I'm just some random freaking nobody. And with the craft is one element, right? I went from where I grew on that journey. But then you look at the writing journey of some nobody who then grew to following there. The podcasting, I started podcasting because I didn't have the...
You're making me cry, man. What the hell, bro?
But it's the whole thing. It all comes
from, bro.
I've had these consistent things where I shouldn't have been able to do what I've done. So I'm like, well, I can just do it again. And if I fail, it's fine because I've done this other stuff.
Bro, you're motivating the crap out of me, man. I've got tears in my eyes, bro. It's crazy, man.
But that's all it is.
Man.
And what I struggle with, and when I'm trying to help other people, is that if you don't have a story like that for yourself, how do you get that story?
Yeah.
And it's just, you've got to do something you suck at for long enough until you get good at it, and prove to yourself that you can do it.
Yeah.
And you can't shortcut that. And I struggle with it, man. Because like, how do you teach somebody that? Because
man.
you want instant results, but you've got to be willing to suck at something in it, whatever it is, right? And then you can prove yourself, I was terrible at that, but I got good at it. And once you can tell yourself that, it's the same skill, wherever you do it in. Oh, hello. Quick interruption to let you know a bit more about Bay HQ. We're the community for high growth Asian heritage entrepreneurs, operators, and investors in the UK. You can join us totally free at thebayhq.com/join. There you'll get our CEO structure in your inbox every week, which is content, events, and opportunities. You can also get access to a free Startup Fundamentals course by joining. Let's get back to the show.
Bro, it's amazing, man. There's one quote, I hate to quote a samurai in this moment, but I mean, I forgot his name, he's the author of The Way of the Five Rings. He said that when the path becomes clear in one, but you gave me so much goosebumps, I was like crying, but it's like when the path is, when you understand the path, you see it in everything, right? Sometimes I think about, the likes of Richard Branson, the others, like Virgin Media, Virgin Music, Virgin this, everything. So the idea that, it is an idea. You killed it in one thing, and those are the reps that you can now translate into other parts of life. This is why they quote that Fortune 500 CEOs, a lot of them had martial arts backgrounds or military backgrounds because of that. The idea that I've done something, right? I'm able to do something. So that's why I say to my kids, as I call them, that look, do something well. The GCSE, the A-level, whatever it is that you're doing, is actually building the idea that I can see something through to the end. And then that will pay dividends later on, whatever you do as well.
Mainly about the accolade, right? Is that Bay HQ hasn't won a single award. As a founder of Bay HQ, I've won no awards because I just don't give a crap. If I really wanted to win awards, you just promote yourself, you nominate yourself, you get all your friends to vote for you and stuff, right? But is it what's more important? Because I think by doing things that we have, we're actually gaining the respect of people because they can see why we're doing it.
Exactly.
We get loads of awards, and you might get people who see that from the external perspective, like, oh, wow, you're doing so well. But in reality, it's like I'm very transparent about the struggles we've had with cash flow and things are going wrong. Because it's and this is the way I look at things as well, right? And maybe just see how you feel about this with your incubator and your people you're working with, right? Are you doing it to impress people or to actually be good at the thing?
Exactly.
And it's a lot of people, you can look at them from the outside and it's insecurity, whatever it is. It's all driven towards how do I impress people about what I'm doing, as opposed to how do I actually do the thing that I'm trying to do.
100%. Bro, like so look, you've reached out. So obviously, we've been you've been in touch for a while, man, a long time. And it told me to come on the podcast. One of the reasons why I didn't want to come on any podcast was because I want to build in silence, man. And I feel like, obviously, raising this back to the AI, the AI phase we're in right now, a lot of the times building in stealth is it preserves your sincerity. I feel like, because as soon as you blow your own trumpet back, which is also a good go-to-market strategy, don't get me wrong, you suddenly start having external drivers, right? And then you move away from the intrinsic motivation to do something, which is love of itself, what we described, your journey, which got me emotional and stuff, right? Is that, because it's the beauty of that, man, the beauty of the human spirit. The way that you explained that, I was like, man, like, if only we could teach that. that was a part of me that was like, oh man. In a way, you just have to experience it, and that when you feel that, that becomes something that you become. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I know people, they call it unteachable lessons, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel like are some of those unteachable lessons where you know the end goal, but if you could just tell somebody that, they're not going to listen to you. The classic one is like, money doesn't make you happy, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, you're saying that because you're rich. But then they get there like, oh, actually,
you're right.
But you can't tell somebody that. Yeah. Do you feel like there's other lessons that when you're working with founders, they're not paying attention to what you're saying? Yeah. And like, they just have to go through that experience themselves.
Yeah, man. So half of the week I'm mentoring founders, right? And one of the things I say in the first call is like, you are the company and the company is you. So sometimes they don't want to talk about it. I'm like, cool. Like, we normally look at growth levers. We do like sprints. We'll go into like numbers and that kind of stuff. But there's that element of personal growth. Like you are the business is you, particularly in the early phases. Are you spending time to allow yourself? Are you spending time to, you know, with your family, man? At the end of the day, nobody's going to give a damn about you apart from the ones that love you, man. Ah, damn, we're getting emotional again, bro. I love this, man. But really, man, like 30, 40 years from now, you've had your accolades and stuff, bro. It's like how your, you know, what do you call it? Your mum looks at you, or your dad, your other half and kids. And bro, that's why I literally say to these guys like and girls, are you spending enough time with your family and stuff like that? And it's like, come on, one day you're talking to me about profit and go to market, and now you're talking to me about family. And that's the thing. It's like you'll learn that one day it might be too late when the loved ones that were with you, damn man, when they're not there anymore, you know. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that, okay, you need to work exceptionally hard if you're going to build a startup to do well, but then you've got to have the people along that journey to make it worth it. Otherwise, you can work as hard as you can, and you can have all the money in the world. But and it all depends. It's like, again, it's archetypes, right? Some people, they're just lone wolves, and for them, that's not important, right? But for many of us, it's like, if you miss those, let's say, kids' first steps, all those different things, the classic stories, you've got to make sure that it's worth it for you. And you've got to know what you're sacrificing.
100%. No, thank you for nuancing that, right? The idea that, I don't want to go to a personal philosophy too much, but I think generally speaking, you have to sacrifice in order to get somewhere. There's no doubt about that. Founders that I've spoken to that are VC backed, I think it was a local globe event I went to, man. They're like, man, I feel so bad that I'm not being able to be there for my little daughter and stuff like that. But I'm like, I'm doing this for you as well. I'm doing this for my daughter as well. So every situation is we can't give an objective truth here, but ask your gut, ask your inner self, right, and be like, okay, am I sacrificing too much here? So it's always, life is a balance.
I think the big thing is like, it's knowing your sacrifice, because your sacrifice is different to somebody else's sacrifice. You've got to do that like internal work of like, am I saying the truth here or not? Because we lie to ourselves all the time, right?
All the time.
So it's like, if you're saying you're doing this for your kids, you've got to be sure that you're actually doing it for your kids. You can't use that as an excuse. I'm doing it for their better future. It's like, if you're already worth like 100 million, they're already sorted. You're now doing it because you want to do it. And if you want to do it, just say that.
Just say it.
Just say it. As it, just know your own, like, understand your own motivation, right?
You're right, man. You reminded me of a classical example that we often speak about in our family, right? Desi families often, you know, a lot of us came through the corner shop route, right? So, wonderful father, loved his kids, but he spent literally 24/7 in the corner shop. And then one day he found his daughter like doing, you know, on a path, doing something illegal, right? And he's like, what is going on here? Like, you know, it's an illegal activity. It's in the home as well. And it's like, Dad, man, when I say this, I get the chills, bro. Like, he's like, Dad, you weren't there when I needed you. Yeah. And it's like, but I loved you, you know? And she's like, that's not love. It's like, I just needed your time. But you're there grinding out. And then it's like, woe is me. It's like that of everything didn't mean all that money, all that corner shop time. It didn't mean anything in that moment because he's lost his daughter, man. And so I fear that for myself. I fear that for the people that I work with because, yeah, it's cool, but like, make sure you try. Look, my philosophy is like, try to balance as much as you can. If you're in a phase where you're able to sacrifice, then go ham. And Steve Jobs talks about it. The younger founders are able to do it. But yeah, man, don't let go of that which means the most in your life, man. 100%. Yeah.
It's all about the phases of life, right?
Yeah.
The seasons, right?
The seasons of like, man.
Sometimes you have to go sprinting hard, right? But then that can't be forever. Well, it can be forever. It's like, is that the life you want to live, right? It's like, for example, like, I am fundamentally lazy. I don't like how hard I work. It's by mistake. It's not by design. If I can get this to a stage where this runs without me and I can just chill out, I'll happily chill out. I'm not addicted to the hustle. The hustle is a consequence of me caring about what I'm doing and having like high standards of what I'm doing, right? But then I'd rather, like, if I could do this and I could just chill out most of the time and everyone's being helped and we're making the change we want to make. Yeah. Great. Like, I don't want to work hard. And for example, we've said about like, I've got the karate, I've got the bungalow, there's always other interests I have. Yeah. that I'm not nurturing because I'm focusing on this right now.
Yeah.
So-
Spoke about New York as well, yeah.
Yeah. We're mentioning like New York, and you were mentioning about different places, right? One of the things you're focused on emerging markets as well.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and what you're doing there?
Yeah, man. I actually began Tijara in Arabic, Turkish, Urdu, I think, would you call it, in other languages, in Farsi, means trade, right?
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. When I've seen the name, I thought it was Mexican.
I was like, why? Why Tijara? Tijara, yeah. So that actually came about because of my trip to Saudi, and we were in a place called Al Ula, which is only recently become a tourist destination where a lot of meditation retreats happen. There's also this like cursed place. This is cursed city. But what happened while I was on the outskirts, not in the cursed part, was we met with founders, we met with people that are local. And there's a local plant in Al Ula that it grows nowhere else, but it has so many applications, from medicine to like rehabilitation, and like also taste wise is really good apparently. And they're looking for local founders to build. And then we were having a conversation with a co-working space over there called Waves. So it's called Vibes Al Ula, right? Absolute vibes. They're like, how do we explain startup and Series A and all that to these people that are essentially Bedouins, right? They've literally like lived their lives in the desert, bro. And they're coming out of that. And then the way that we spoke about it it's Tijara, it means it's trade. It's literally the modern post-modernity like way of talking about trade. Because essentially what you're doing is you've got a product and you're selling it to people, and then people invest into it. We call it seed, whatever it is. So that was the beginning of this idea of all the crazy stuff I'm doing it. Let's set up a company. Let's do something that also helps local founders to expand to that market. And then interestingly, from there to here. But yeah, mainly our interest that we get is startup founders. Those are even larger incumbents as well. We've helped them explore the market, shall we say, in Saudi, and also get things like the premium residency, which is actually quite a big deal, man. It's like the golden visa in Dubai, except it is for Saudi. You're able to own property as somebody that's not a Saudi national, which is a huge thing for Saudi opening up to the world.
And obviously, you've like born and raised here. You've done so much here. Where do you see opportunity in these different places? Like, what makes you look elsewhere?
Yeah. No, so being really honest, a lot of people talk about this idea that the fact that the UK is a brilliant incubator economy, but it's not the best place to scale. And the typical thing that I'm seeing, right? I work a lot in Imperial, is, and UCL, for example, we're in conversations with UCL in terms of incredible talent, right? But they don't go to the local incubators because the incubators take a lot of IP. They don't really support them as much. And they see places like America as scaling markets. What we're trying to do is connect that to a new market, which is essentially, Saudi, Qatar, who have the capital, right? And are looking for solutions to what we call an RFP list, a list of problems that are happening in their government space, in the kind of, the railroads, the hospitals. And we want to connect that talent. Because the underlying notion is the definition of justice I was taught is to put the things that, have value into the right places. And I think when I see Bay, for example, what you're doing is you're connecting people together. I see it as you're enacting justice through what you're doing is justice, and that's one of the values. I want to be a just person. The incredible talent we have, let's connect it to the right places that can nurture and help grow that talent. Yeah.
Is there any tips you give people when they're trying to go out there, and like how the system's obviously different, like the culture, the way it works?
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular you'd say, like, if someone listening right now is going to be, okay, I want to expand to Saudi, other than contacting you, what could they start doing to make sure that they're well positioned?
I mean, people talk about it in Dubai as well, right? But so interestingly, nudged the region of Saudi is where a lot of people from the Emirates are from, right? From particularly Qatar as well, from there. They all have very similar traits. The idea is a people first. I'll give you a quick example. A friend of mine from Birmingham went to Saudi, and he's having a conversation with a particular investor, a particular partner, and he's like, the whole time they're meeting over food, there's no conversation about business. And he's like waiting for the opportunity, no conversation at all. And then right at the end of like an hour and a half, 2 hours, the guy goes, by the way, you know that thing that you wanted, consider it done. Why? Because he trusted that individual. So it's a trust-based, society. I can go into a little bit of detail about saying that Riyadh, for example, a lot of people that want a slice of Vision 2030, they'll go in, but they'll forget this trust-based kind of society that's focused so deeply on individuals. For example, Amar, they'll be like, Amar, that's an interesting name. Where are you from? And don't. So this is the thing. Complete different culture. They're going to ask you about your background. They're going to ask you about your village. You'll be like, okay, which part of Punjab? I know Punjab. Oh, I know Punjab. So which part of Punjab? What did your family do? Were they the Raja clan or this clan? Because they go deep, man. With me, so for example, over here I can say I'm Asian. It's enough. It's like, no, where are you from? I was like, they say that you're Hadal Rajul Kashmiri. This man, he's a Kashmiri man. Right? They want to know particularly which part of the Indian subcontinent I'm from. So yeah, be prepared to go deep. Be prepared to be in for the long term as well, and it'll pay dividends, man, in places like Saudi and Qatar. You know.
So when I went to Jordan, they didn't believe that I was an Arab. So like, oh, it's an Arab.
Yeah, you're Egyptian.
Yeah, and it's like, no, and then they kept talking to me in Arabic. It's like, I don't know what's going on, and they just didn't believe me. They thought I was lying. And I was like, no, like it's also a Punjabi name. I was like, so I don't know if we went to Jordan anytime soon. Hopefully they listen to this, but it's like, I was almost like detained because they didn't believe that I was an Arabic.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I can see the Egyptian in you right now. Man.
They're like, oh, you're Arabic. And then it's like, no. I was like, I don't know what you're saying. And it's like, why are you lying to us? I'm like, I'm not lying.
In fact, one of the most famous singers is Amardeep. He's, a lot of his songs were spun out into Bollywood songs, interestingly, right? So his name is Amar as well. So they were like, no, man, you're our cultural icon. You're named up there. So we can't let you go. Can imagine that, bro. Yeah.
I know, like with Imperial as well, you help them with like PMF, right?
Yeah.
Can you use the same models both here and in other countries and emerging markets?
Yeah.
Or do you think about it differently? How do you go about that?
That's a good question, man. So like, I'm researching into this right now. So each market has its own constraints. The issue that Saudi has had. So look, our friends at Strategy Tools, who actually do deep dive researching into ecosystems and VC ecosystems, they're very surprised in terms of how good the market is in Saudi in terms of growth and stuff, but they still have an exit problem. They still have a valuation problem. The typical thing that's happening is a lot of startups that are, backed by venture studios and places like incubators, like the biggest one being The Garage. Wonderful place. It's a play on the idea that Amazon and all these guys will build it in a literal garage, right? They call it Garage because it's a Saudi accent. They value companies. There's a valuation problem happening whereby they get backed and suddenly they've got a huge valuation, and then the actual revenue, the actual kind of cash flow isn't matching. So that's an issue as well. So what we're doing is still, however, tweaking an existing model that kind of I've gathered over the years. There's other models, like there's the 100 Tasks by Martin Bell, for example. I'm actually really impressed by that because it's like a list of 100 things. For me, we'll call it the PROVE model, PROVE. The idea is like you got 5 phases. You go from finding your customer to then building an offer. Then that offer then should elicit some sort of a currency, and that currency allows you to then move from a viable product to a minimal lovable product, which has stickiness, and then we go into scaling. I can go into the phases later on sometime, but what we'll do is we'll look at a startup founder who thought that this person, what backing, man, I'm on the Saudi whatever list of bigger entrepreneurs. But then we do an audit, be like, you know what, man, you're actually in phase 1 right now. Despite the amazing, investment you've got, it's hollow inside. And that's not to say that's the case. I'm not being condescending here. There's some wonderful startups. One to look at, Ninja, in Saudi grocery delivery thing. They've absolutely smashed it. In fact, I would say some Saudi startups are so good, we can learn from them in the UK and particularly maybe in the US as well. But I'm just saying that this is the current situation over there. And yes, if you have a model to ascertain PMF, that can be tweaked and nuanced in different markets. Yeah.
So interesting on that point, right? It's about some of these companies, they're getting like large valuations very quickly.
Yeah.
And obviously in the UK, and like when you look at early stage founders, they all want funding, they all want external capital, they all want that, right?
Oh.
And I guess it's one of those unteachable lessons that having too much funding is actually a big problem.
Yeah.
Because then you aren't being as resilient and as efficient as you can be, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk about that? Like, what are the problems that semis are facing when they're essentially overfunded?
No, for sure, man. It's a bit of a Debbie Downer when, for example, as soon as you've got that investment in, you've got this deal room, you've got everything, you've got your pitch deck, everything sorted. As soon as the funding comes in, as you know, Amr, like the clock starts ticking. you're having to, answer to another set of people. So this is why I think, what you're doing with the Angel Syndicate is really powerful, right? It's people that are with you. They essentially maybe have operator skill. They're not going to put as much of a stress on you as a VC. And that's why we're also using that angel model for those startups looking to move into emerging markets. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, as soon as you've got the, that funding, brilliant. You're going to be asked loads of questions about it now. But sometimes, depending on the model, that's probably the only route to scale, depending on the model as well. So, and look, you probably heard this a lot, but I really do believe it's the truth that try to entertain and elicit funding, bring the funding in when you don't really need it, when you've got other suitors. That way, the power dynamic shifts. You're not begging for it, right? You're not dying for it. I'm asking for it. No, you're not Pooja, right? You're essentially, you're now in a very strong position. You're able to actually have a real analysis in terms of who's a value add for me, who's a market lock for me, and who's able to essentially contribute to our growth in a meaningful way, as opposed to just capital. Dumb money can come to you, but that might weigh you down.
I love the niche Pooja reference. I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to see who understands it. See who understands it, right? So, obviously, all the different things going on at the moment, right? What are you most proud of, right? What are you most happy about of what you've done, that you've had these different things that have worked together, and obviously you've worked with NatWest Incubator and all these different incubators, and now you're looking Imperial, but what is it that you feel like you've made the biggest impact on, or that you feel like that's of your very early career so far, your many years to come, but what is it that you feel like that's what I'm like, I've been proud of that?
Man, when you ask me, man, like you got me emotional before, so like I think it's just the one founder, like being able to tell them that, you got this, right? I remember a particular mentoring call that I had. I think, look, the thing is, for me, mentoring and coaching was a huge unlock, man. It's like a mirror that's placed in front of you that you would never see. There's a big like sty in my eye. I didn't know about it until somebody spoke to me about it. That's what I try to be for others, and that's why like I'm pursuing this in a master's level. I'm doing an ILM level 7, which is a master's equivalent in coaching and mentoring. So there was a conversation I had with the founder who was literally crying on the call. She believed like, I just, imposter syndrome was there. I'm not good enough. This is too scientific of a methodology. I'm more of an arts person. And just saying to her, look, you've got this, right? And then just literally, it doesn't mean anything. It's an empty platitude to many people. But just being there for the person, because I learned in that conversation that the catharsis happens not in the solution we give others, but the space that we give others. And those who are leading in companies would be able to resonate with this. Somebody comes to you with a complaint, just listen in. So I just listened. And in that conversation, now I can be very proud to say, I don't know if she wants to be, pulled out in this way, but she went from that to running a startup that is doing really well, and then also being a thought leader in a space and having a book published. So she works in the kind of the greening space. She's a wonderful, people call her an eco warrior. I consider her to be changing the narrative for public spaces and also greening in essentially. So seeing her now, like she's killing it. She's a public speaker. She's got a startup, and I remember that point I was with her, and that's what I'll go back to. Sometimes it's conversations like that.
So what we're saying now, right, is that 250 something episodes in, whenever this comes out, is that people can come on again 200 episodes later. Yeah. So about 2 years time, right? Wow, yeah. So let's say you're sitting here in 2 years time, and I'll ask you the same question again, like what are you most proud of? What do you hope has happened in the next 2 years?
Yeah, very good question. So I sometimes, people talk about this mapping, kind of future mapping exercise and stuff like that. I've mapped it, and it's changed so many times that I've forgotten how many times I've done this. But then I guess I'll do this live in the flesh right now with you and say that hopefully in 2 years we have created a community of what we call it, mutually beneficial kind of startups. It's almost like they're building off on each other. There's more of a community created, and they're supporting each other and they're supporting their wider communities, right? So we hopefully the viral coefficient is unlocked. One of them then pays it forward, and suddenly we've got the Desi Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my future goal essentially. And let's say, I don't know, one community developed like this.
So in 2 years' time, we're going to get a TV up there, right? Yeah. So if people come back on the podcast again, we'll play that little clip of what you just said. and then see like what actually happened.
Aye, man, damn, man, goosies, bro, goosies. Let's see what happens, man. See, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, man. I want to ask you this as well, but I don't know if it's. Yeah, I want to ask you this as well, man. 2 years time.
That's not fair because I do this every episode, right? So I can't. If I answered, I'd be answering every single like week, like twice a week.
Yeah, so you got. That's cool. Yeah.
That's always a good cheat I have, right? Sorry. So we're gonna get quick 5 questions now, right?
Cool.
So, who are 3 British Asians or Asians in Britain you think are doing incredible work, and you'd love to shout them out?
I want to shout out my man. What do you call it? Obviously, Ash, my boy. Big up Ash every single time. Ash Ali is the founder of, one of the first marketing director at Just Eat. He's now the co-author of The Unfair Advantage. I also want to give a shout out to a wonderful Shiza Shah from Up Effect. So she is essentially founder of Up Effect. She's a social entrepreneur. She's also phenomenally talented. Like whenever you have a conversation with her, like, oh my god, like there's something new that she teaches us in her calls as well. And then I want to give a shout out also. So Desi, I was going to give a shout out to non-Desi who's helping Desis, Megan Loist from Diversity VC as well. But I'm going to give a shout out to Nikita. Hold tight, Nikita. Come on. Yeah. They got what do you call it? Included VC.
I definitely think you're gonna like spike the microphone there. It's like on the recording, there has to be like noise.
Now I want to big up Nikita, man, because look, we need capital is a big issue for us, right? The more Asians we have, I say Desi because this is a wonderful. I love the word Desi. It feels like when I hear it, I remember Mango Lassi. I remember like time in the village, in the speaking Punjabi so loudly you think you're fighting. So our fellow Desis, and we need more investors, man. We've got a lot of entrepreneurs, in my opinion, right? And we need more high achieving entrepreneurs, but we need more investors, and that's why I think big up Nikita every single time.
So that's Nikita Thakkar from Included VC, right?
Included VC, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got 3, and then she's a Shah. She's from Up Effect, and then we've got Ash Ali from Unfair Advantage.
Yeah. So, and if people want to find out more about you, what you're up to in the future, where do they go to?
Yeah, man, you can shout me on LinkedIn, Muhammad Malik, Tijara Ventures. Also, I work at the SMBF, which is a small business forum. So Malik at smbf.global is my email if you want to shout me as well. LinkedIn is probably the best place as well. Yeah.
And any way that the audience could help you today?
Man, help me by, we were looking for founders at the moment, right? So we're looking for founders that's particularly focused on emerging markets as well. So anybody interested in that, give us a shout. And also we're looking for educators. So I'm teaching, young people innovation, entrepreneurship. So if you have an expertise, whether that's via coding, whether that's deep understanding of psychology, we want to pay you to teach young people.
Obviously, great to have you on. Good to have a good laugh as well. But any final words from you?
Bit of a cry as well, my bro. I really appreciate this. I just want to give a shout out to Bay HQ, man. You're doing a phenomenal job, man. And like I said, we need this. You're doing justice, and this is the idea. Like when I started off in the startup space, look, there was diversity meant just a particular, ethnicity, essentially, and I think there's so much, diversity in diversity, and that's what you're doing a phenomenal job with, man. So hold tight, Bait HQ, man, every single time.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.